Welcome back to the channel, the 850 project, and I wanted to give you an update of where we are and what I've got done. I'd like to start with the fuel tank. If you remember from previous videos, long ago, a couple of years ago, sealed the fuel tank, and that failed. If you remember, it chipped off terribly inside of there. It peeled everywhere. And I followed all the instructions. I did exactly what we were supposed to do, and it failed. So, and I even called the guys out there, the tech, and they were like, "Oh, well, just do the blah, blah, blah." But anyway, give me a runaround. So I know I'm not the only one that's happened to. I've watched a bunch of other videos where they do everything the instructions say and it fails. So I'm not sure what goes on there. But anyway, I dissolved the failed sealer with acetone. Took about 1.5 gallons. And I will say that this particular sealer, I won't say whose sealer it was, Eastwood, but it dissolved it pretty handily. So it was still a pain in the butt to get it all out and everything. But got it all cleaned up, and I got the Pour 15 sealer kit and followed the instructions meticulously, and it turned out looked really good. Now I can't show it to you. This thing won't, the camera won't get in there, so that's kind of pointless for me to try to do that. But it turned out really nice. So it's all sealed up, clean on the inside, rust free. I went ahead and recoated the outside, the external, and painted it. And I put a couple coats of clear on it, not to gloss, but just to help it so it doesn't get chipped up and everything with rocks and so forth. The other thing I did was, if you notice, we're going ahead and cap off those return vents there, and there's really no reason. I think that requires like a charcoal canister and that whole setup, and I'm not putting all that back on there. The fuel tank sending unit, I have that brand new. That'll go on. Right now that's just a cover I made so that I could do the work on the tank. So that'll go on, and then we'll be ready to put that in. I think there's also some felt strips. Yeah, I bought a piece of felt where those tank straps go. You can plainly see where the tank straps hold it in place, and there was felt on those to keep it, I guess, from rattling and noise and so forth. So we got all that done. The tank's ready to go back in. We got the control arms done, got those all cleaned up, got all the rust off of them, rust treated them, and primed them, painted them, got all the bushings replaced. Those are all new bushings. They've just got some masking tape on them right now. I don't know if you can see it, but I had to have those removed. My press would not accommodate these control arms, so I had to take them up to the shop and have them pressed out and the new ones pressed in. It's just the awkward angles and everything that are involved in them wouldn't let me do it. So I guess it requires, a variety of dies that you can use or whatever. But anyway, they did a nice job and it's done. So those are ready to go back in. Also worked on the wheels. You can see I got those, the outside clean, derusted, treated, and primed and painted. And then I put a couple of coats of clear on those too, for the same purpose. Hopefully it'll help protect them from getting rock chipped and all that good stuff. So we got all of our rear end parts ready to go. I know that sounds like a bad joke, but we got the stub axles all cleaned up, got the bearings pressed out, all the old grease removed, got those all cleaned, got new bearings. I had no choice. Some of the bearings were really nice. I mean, they literally looked like brand new, but then the others wouldn't. One side, the outer one looked good, and the other side, the inner looked good. But either way, I just went ahead and replaced them. And it's you can't really get them as individually anyway. You have to buy them as a set. So I went ahead and got all of that. Those are all the parts ready to go back together. And we've got all the new brake hardware that we need. We've got the flex couplings. Those are both brand new. Got the bolts and castle nuts, got the springs there for the axle shafts, got the backing plates all cleaned up, and got those painted and treated and everything. New brake shoes. These are with the adjusters. because I had already bought a set that didn't have the adjusters, but these are the adjusters on it. But if you the self adjusters, but mine just fell apart, and you can't hardly find them separate. But you can just buy the shoes where they're already on there, so that's what I did. We've got all new nuts and bolts and all that. This is the emergency brake for the e-brake. Cleaned those all up, and they turned out really good. The control arm shims, couldn't really find anything like that. So I know they do make standard shims or whatever, but I wanted to try to use the original if I could. So I cleaned those up and painted them and everything. I do need another e-brake spring. I only have the one, so I'm gonna have to find that. But everything else is pretty much ready to go. This is the these were kind of hard to find. This is where this mechanism passes through the backing plate. It's a rubber gasket, so for the emergency brake. So we got that. That's new. So we're heading towards home base. We get that fuel tank installed, and get all the bearings repacked and put back together and everything. We can put all the rear end together, and so that'll be the next step. Let's get the fuel tank in, and then put the control arms back on and get the rear end assembled. Then we can get the tires on. I'll have the tires mounted, and I still have the tires. You can see them over there in the corner, and we'll get those remounted, and hopefully we'll be able to get this thing down. The goal is we'll have it back down on the ground on its wheels before spring, and that way we can roll it outside and I can start work on the other things. I did want to show you, I went ahead and removed the windshield, which was not something I wanted to do, but we already went into that, why it was necessary. And as you can see, it actually was in really good shape. I was surprised. I was always thinking that maybe I was skipping a part, but actually there's very little rust. There's just some little rust in the corner over here and on the other corner. Other than that, it's all good. But anyway, I've got the new gasket, which is like $300. But so I got the new gasket. No sense in trying to put that back on, but I will obviously have to take this down to bare metal, get that blue paint out of there, and when I do the touch-up paint and the doors and hoods and everything, then I'll have to spray that again. Spray that before I put the gasket back in. So anyway, windshield came out nice. I basically did it with a putty knife, to be honest, and it was a pain. It was a slow, tedious process, but it came out good. So I've got the windshield. We'll clean that up, and it'll be all ready to reinstall when the time comes. So that's where we are. If you have any questions or comments, I'd like to hear it. I'm always open to questions, and I certainly appreciate your advice. So have a good one, and we'll see you next time.